The secrets within. The light of dawn reflected onto the land as the melodic rhythm of birds chirping infiltrated the island. The rays of sunlight fell upon her face and woke her up. Aurora, a raspy voice echoed in her ears. Slowly and steadily, Aurora's eyes fluttered open and met the dark, beady eyes of a black bear. Aurora jerked up and clutched her chest. "Honey," she muttered, "you almost gave me a heart attack." She got up from her bed and fixed her long dress. "Sorry, Aurora, I didn't mean to scare you." Honey, the black bear, pulled a frown and sat down on the floor. "Is everything alright?" She leaned forward and embraced the bear. "Anyway, that is Aurora and this is her life. She lives on an island accompanied by her friends. That is Honey, the black bear, one of Aurora's closest companions." "There is something you need to see," Honey cautiously worded, attempting not to frighten her. "Take me there," Aurora ordered. The black bear stood up and began walking towards the location with Aurora on her back. The island was rather small and in the middle of an ocean. She knew every corner of this island and it somehow belonged to her. Honey reached the destination and Aurora climbed down and gasped as she saw the sight. "What is he doing here?" she muttered to herself. The bear shrugged and an owl landed on Aurora's shoulder. "What do we do?" the owl hooted. "I'm not quite sure, Twilight," Aurora honestly answered. She had been living on this island for years with her animal friends. She hadn't had human contact in years and she wasn't sure how to react. "Honey, slap his face," Twilight offered. "What?" Aurora raised her eyebrows. "I don't know how that will help, Twi." Aurora took gradual steps towards the unknown male and gently bent down next to him. She extended her hand and caressed his cheek. She closed her eyes and her fingers roamed across his face, allowing her heat to work its magic onto this human. Within few minutes, a loud gasp is heard, followed by several coughs and gags. Aurora opened her eyes and met the beautiful green eyes of the gentleman. She looked at the man attempting to fill his lungs with air. Once successful, he looked around his surroundings and his eyes landed on the black bear. A shriek of terror released from his throat as he scrambled up and took steps back. "Calm down, it's okay," Aurora raised her hands and signaled Honey to take a few steps back. "What? Did the bear just listen to you?" the man exclaimed in perplexity. "That bear is my companion. Her name is Honey," Aurora informed him with a subtle smile. He stared at her in confusion. "Companion?" he muttered as he ran out of breath just by standing there. "You're friends with these animals and they understand you." It was more of a statement rather than a question. He was attempting to comprehend what was going on. "Exactly," Aurora nodded. "This is so confusing." He sat down on the sand in his soaked attire. "Sir, would you mind telling me how you got here?" Aurora questioned in dubiety. She wasn't too keen on having other humans on this island, since everyone came here to hurt the animals and she vowed to protect them. "I was on my boat exploring when I saw this island from a distance, but my boat lost control due to the waves and it flipped over and sunk. I managed to swim and enter this land," he reminisced. "That's unfortunate, but tell him to leave now," Twilight whispered in Aurora's ear. "Twilight, that's a little mean," Aurora whispered back. "Are you talking to them?" The male had a puzzled look on his face. Aurora nodded. He began chuckling. "Yeah, right." Aurora stayed still with a serious expression. "Wait, you can talk to animals? Please tell me I'm dreaming." He closed his eyes and his hand covered his face as his head fell down. "You're most definitely not dreaming, sir. And yes, I talk to animals. It's a gift I have, being able to communicate with this beautiful species." Aurora grinned, gazing at Honey and Twilight. "What does he know?" Twilight internally rolled her eyes. The male looked up. "How is this possible?" "Do you want me to throw him back into the ocean?" Honey humoured. Aurora laughed. "No, Honey, he's just lost and disorientated. Normal humans will, of course, find this beguiling." Aurora understood the situation. "Hello, I'm Aurora and welcome to my home." She extended her hand towards his direction. There was no response, only awkward silence, the tension causing a thickness in the air. Then he took a deep breath and exhaled. He got up from the sand and shook Aurora's hand. "Hello, Aurora, I'm Felix." "That's a funny name," Twilight mocked. "Did the owl say something about me?" Felix narrowed his eyes suspiciously. "She said you have a charming name," Aurora altered the sentence. Felix didn't seem convinced by the answer. Nonetheless, they moved on. "So, Aurora, why do you live alone on this island with animals?" Curiosity sparked in Felix. "Why live anywhere else?" she nonchalantly answered. "This island is bewildering, serene, and in the arms of Mother Nature. Most importantly, my friends and I are safe." He looked at her. They stared at each other for a while. Aurora noticed his unique clothing. Her eyes roamed around his face and observed his green eyes bewitching her. She noticed dimples digging into his hollow cheeks with a pair of luscious lips adorning his face. At the same time, Felix observed her appearance. He noticed her unique grey eyes, which held thousands of secrets. She had clear skin with a beauty spot above her lip. She had perfectly shaped lips in a pink tint, balanced with a symmetrical nose. She wore a long dress with minimal effort. It portrayed simplicity and elegance. She was crafted by a goddess with the utmost beauty and humility. He felt himself dwelling in her and couldn't understand why. "This is awkward," Honey interrupted and brought them out of their thoughts. Aurora felt heat rush to her cheeks as she realized they were gawking at each other in a longing manner. "Aurora, are you okay?" Twilight flew from her shoulder towards Honey and rested on her. Aurora nodded, gathering her thoughts. "Is there any chance you know how I can get out from here?" Felix cleared his throat and examined the island. Aurora shrugged. She never wanted to leave, hence she didn't create an exit route. "You can stay here until you figure out how to leave," she offered. He smiled with gratification and nodded, "Thanks." "Well, come along to my house, get some rest, probably dry your attire." She grimaced at his appearance. He looked at himself and saw the water dripping. "Yes, please." They all strolled together towards a huge hut that Aurora resided in with her mates. They walked inside. "Wow, this is so beautiful," Felix admired the interior. It was subtly decorated but aesthetically pleasing. There were basic furniture with ancient artifacts framing her hut. "Thank you," Aurora smiled. "You can go in there and give your attire to Honey. She'll clean it and hand it back to you." "Me?" Honey frowned. "I hate cleaning," she sulked dramatically. "Honey, you're an expert at this. You've got this," Twilight encouraged her. "You're saying that so you don't have to clean them. Have you ever seen me shower?" Honey deadpanned. "Honey, please," Aurora requested. Honey sighed but took the clothes to the ocean and began her work. Later on that day, "So I understand that this place is alluring, but what made you move here?" Felix inquired as he began eating the exotic fruit the island offered. "I was abandoned, you could say. This was the first place I found, and it became my sanctuary." Aurora bit into the exquisite sweet and sour fruit. Their conversation was intervened by a noisy chomping sound. Their eyes shifted towards a commotion and viewed a porcupine devouring a dragon fruit with its quills erected. Aurora laughed. "Spike, the fruit is not running away. Take your time." The porcupine stopped chewing and blushed in embarrassment as he relaxed his stance and his quills settled down. This event caused everyone to laugh. The owl hooted and the bear roared. They were having a good time when the sun began setting and the pale crescent moon casted its luminous shadow onto the island, painting a surreal piece of art. The tree glistened and the waves crashed against the shore. The next day the wind howled whilst the glorious sun settled in the azure sky between white fluffy clouds. The magnificent trees and bushes swung side to side as the breeze collided against them. The deep blue ocean seemed erratic this morning. Thunderous waves crashed harshly against the shore and bounced back. Felix woke up early and began searching the island for tools and equipment he could use to get home. Aurora and her friends woke up and saw him carrying tree branches. "If you're thinking about creating a raft, then you should forget it. There is no way a raft would survive in these powerful currents," Aurora informed him and leaned against a tree trunk. "I have to try something. I have a kingdom to get back to," Felix huffed. He sat on the branch and wiped the shiny sweat beads that rolled down the side of his face. Kingdom? Honey questioned. What did she say? Felix looked up. Kingdom, Aurora repeated, supporting the astonishment. Yes, I'm actually a prince, soon to be king, he enlightened them. I figured it wasn't crucial to mention earlier. Prince Felix, Aurora stood up and gently bowed down. Felix immediately stood up. Aurora, please, you do not need to do that. Aurora smiled and regained her posture. Prince of what? She further questioned. Prince of Thesidia, Felix answered. Thesidia? Aurora tilted her face. Why does it feel like I heard that name before? She rhetorically asked herself. It's pretty close by here, Felix shrugged. Is the current king called Alistair? Aurora felt memories flooding back. Yes, that's my father. But how do you know? Felix held a dazed expression. I used to live there. Aurora's words shook Felix to the core. What? He gasped. How's that possible? He got closer to Aurora. Meanwhile, Honey, Twilight, and Spike all had their eyes and ears open in excitement for this thrilling gossip. Your father raised me once my parents passed away, but soon enough, he abandoned me. He placed me on a boat and pushed it into the ocean. I was young and naive. I stayed on the boat and it drifted in the currents until I bumped into this island. Aurora unleashed her hidden truth. Aurora, are you sure? Why don't I remember you? I should have seen you around town. There is no way. Felix ran his hand through his hair, processing this alarming news. Felix, I don't think you landed on this island by an accident. I think you were intentionally sent here, Aurora gulped. All eyes widened in shock and silence consumed the air as the words settled in.